how do you match a certain, investor, customer with the right franchise?
Yeah. So if you came to me, Aaron, as an example, and said, "Hey, I'm interested in dipping my toe in the water and exploring the world of franchising," I'd provide you certainly education throughout the process, but would get to know you and then in a pretty streamlined fashion, present opportunities to you that, hey, if I'm in your shoes, based on what you shared with me, based on what we're seeing in the market, based on our relationships behind the scenes, because if you just Google around, there's a lot of noise out there, right? Every company's trying to put their best foot forward, and it's important to understand what's going on behind the scenes. So, we use criteria like, the profit model's got to be there. Check our boxes, competitive advantages. What are current owners in the system saying about their experience? What does that leadership team look like? Do they have industry and franchise experience represented? So, once we start combining these, combined with what our clients looking to do, combined with what's available in the market, which is oftentimes the biggest challenge because things move really fast. Once we apply those filters, it usually narrows this down to somewhere in the ballpark of, I'd say, 10 or 12 opportunities that if I'm in your shoes, here are the ones in the market that I'd want to be looking at. So we take them through a very streamlined process of introducing those to them, and they would ultimately select a few to have conversations with, and we would hold their hand through the process and provide them with funding resources, connections, or franchise attorney to review the agreement, or recruiter to find key personnel. We've got an ecosystem that can support them as they launch that business. And so, yeah, absolutely love what I get to do. I get to interact with just great people. And what I found is most people have an entrepreneurial drive in them. Some have stifled it, some have ignored it, but they're a lot of people want to be business owners. There's this American desire to build your own empire instead of someone else's. And, I love helping them connect the dots because most of them come to me and I have these conversations every day. Hey, Jon, I really want to be a business owner. I know a little bit about franchising, but I don't know what I'm looking for. And so love supporting them through the process.
Yeah, it reminds me of just down the road here in Destin, Florida. The brought the kids over to, I think it was like Harvard Town or what are the shopping areas? I stepped into this little shop. And it was a popcorn shop, dozens of different flavors of popcorn, ridiculously overpriced. But it's a tourist area. I got talking with the people behind the counter, and it was a retired Marine and his wife, and it just said, after she followed, I dragged her around the world for 20 years. She made me promise that I'd buy her a franchise, and then ended up with this popcorn stand, and they both seemed very happy to doing this. And there's no doubt that thing was making money in the high traffic area that it was. But it's interesting how it's curious how a certain person finds a certain franchise, a business type. So.
And I would say the popcorn's probably a little too trendy for me, right? I mean, that's one of the things I don't like about food. I mean, frozen yogurt, froyo, was popular till it wasn't, right? Consumers' whims and tastes change over time. And, again, a lot of our clients end up in businesses where they don't even have a customer-facing retail storefront. Maybe it's more of a service business. Think home and property services, everything from, and those may be non-sexy industries, but gosh, I mean, you're always going to need restoration services or roofing or paint or flooring, insulation, things you don't think of. And then it's things like health and wellness. And there's some pretty unique ones in that space, but, there's so much interest in health and wellness in the market. And then categories like kids or pets or seniors, you think about what will people spend on regardless of the economy. And that's really the theme I'd say out there with our clients is, hey, we don't want sexy. We don't want trendy. Give us the understandable cash flow businesses that won't be disrupted tomorrow by AI or Amazon, right? So that's kind of the world that we live in. So I'd say popcorn's even on the fringe of that for me, right? I'm glad they're doing well. That's probably not one that most of our clients would steer down the path of, but it's a great example because, yeah, you see these different backgrounds and they wouldn't have gone out and started it on their own, right? They needed that help. And like you said, business in a box.
It sounds like you could go in, and I mean, so many different directions with franchises within that franchise realm. Even when you consider, the like a growth versus value stocks, there's also the new and trendy versus the tried and true. So, is there, as a happy medium, are there ways to follow market demand? And what are you seeing lately that is up and coming but has a good model for future revenue?
Yeah, no, there's certainly science and art to help them to match people, and it's entirely free to work with us. So it's a lot of fun for us to get to take clients through this no obligation process on their end. But no, one of the hottest ones. I don't like using the word hot, but one of the more popular ones over the past year was one that operated in men's health. It's testosterone replacement therapy and hormone replacement. There's some variations of that with some other companies out there that are doing well too. So that was a big one. In-home senior care. It's a crowded space. There's a lot of competition, but there's such a macro need in the market. And so if you're able to differentiate yourself within that world, we've been doing a lot with clients there. It's categories like youth soccer. That's probably not top of mind, but when you think about like youth soccer clinics, camps, sports leagues, soccer's never been more popular. It's businesses like we've had a bunch of clients buy into business. It's almost an equipment rental business where they use temporary walls around, like containment walls around renovation projects and in renovation sites, things you don't think of, all these different niches. And it's a lot of fun for me because probably 90% of our clients end up purchasing something that was never, the industry wasn't even on their radar. And so they come to us fairly open-minded and we give them a good variety to evaluate. And ultimately, I mean, we see doctors and lawyers and existing business owners and past corporate executives, saying, hey, I never thought about getting into, getting into fencing, but gosh, I really like the revenue numbers on this. And I like my role in the business. That would be networking. I'm not out there digging holes, putting fences in, but man, if I can make this kind of money and doing what I enjoy doing, getting involved in the Chamber of Commerce and sponsoring the Little League baseball team and kind of creating a name for us there in the community with the franchisor's support, it opens up their world.